If you lie in federal court, you could get up to 5 years in prison. What happens if someone lies under oath? Which could be something that Blake Lively might have to do if this goes to court.
Could one of Hollywood's favorite stars actually face prison time for lying under oath? The shocking legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has taken a dramatic turn that nobody saw coming, and the consequences could be more serious than anyone imagined. From friendly co-stars to bitter enemies, this feud has escalated far beyond typical Hollywood drama, with career-ending implications and potential legal consequences that have the entire entertainment industry watching in disbelief.
Blake Lively absolutely must drop this lawsuit as soon as humanly possible, because there is now just way too much evidence that she and Ryan are, strictly speaking, perverts themselves.
A bombshell video has emerged that's completely flipping the script in this explosive Hollywood feud. The jaw-dropping footage captures Blake Lively grabbing Henry Golding's crotch during filming of A Simple Favor, an unscripted, improvised moment that wasn't in the original screenplay. This wasn't a minor touch or subtle gesture. It was an unmistakable grab that has sent shockwaves through Hollywood and social media alike.
A week ago now, where Blake Lively is grabbing Henry Golding's crotch.
The truly damning part? Director Paul Feig can be heard praising Lively for this improvisation, calling it one of my favorite additions that you came up with, while laughing and adding, "You really went for it too." Lively's response is equally revealing as she acknowledges the awkwardness. "That's always awkward. Hey, nice to meet you. Can I grab your really hard? Not because I want to, but because I feel like my character Emily would."
And he said, "You really went for it too." And he's laughing, and Lively said, "That's always awkward. Hey, nice to meet you. Can I grab your
The video is crystal clear. Not only did Lively engage in this unscripted physical contact, but she openly bragged about it afterward, receiving praise rather than condemnation. For those unfamiliar with A Simple Favor, this wasn't some minor indie film, but a major studio release where Lively co-starred with Anna Kendrick in a psychological thriller that grossed over $97 million worldwide. This wasn't a young actress making a mistake early in her career. This was an established star at the height of her powers, taking creative liberties without apparent concern for boundaries.
There is a legal doctrine that is known as unclean hands. And when it's used in court, the argument prevents one party, so the person that is suing, from seeking relief if they have engaged in unethical conduct that's related to the subject of the dispute.
Not Blake Lively confessing to grabbing her co-star's nuts because she felt like that's just what her character would do.
Sources close to Baldoni are calling this a significant piece of evidence that caught everyone off guard. Legal experts aren't mincing words, with many declaring it a smoking gun in Baldoni's defense. The irony is impossible to ignore. Blake stands exposed on camera doing precisely what she's accusing Justin of, except her actions appear far more severe.
Wait, so am I blaming my husband for saying something? Right.
One of my favorite additions that you came up with. I think it's nuts. And when you really went for it.
That's always awkward. And you're like, "Hey, hi, nice to meet you. Can I grab your neck?"
But really hard?
Not because I want to, because I feel like she would.
The implications of this uncovered footage go far beyond mere embarrassment for Lively. Industry insiders close to Baldoni's legal team have highlighted the glaring double standard at play. As one source bluntly put it, Blake admitted to grabbing a co-star's crotch as improvisation, and Paul confirmed it was an unscripted addition. When placed side by side, the contrast is staggering. Lively's accusations against Baldoni center around comments about her smelling good after she mentioned her spray tan, a seemingly innocuous remark compared to the physical boundary crossing she herself engaged in. This stark disparity has legal analysts questioning whether Lively ever expected her own past behavior to come under such intense scrutiny.
She's willing to do that. She'll grab them hard and just do it. Where was there an intimacy coordinator that day? Did she need one that day? No, because she was doing it. She's comfortable when she makes the moves, is my assumption.
Legal analysts following the case have pointed out a disturbing reality. If Justin had grabbed Blake's private areas without prior consent during filming, she likely would have pursued criminal charges for assault. Yet, when she did something similar, it was laughed off as creative improvisation. This stark contrast in how identical behavior gets judged depending on who's doing it has become the centerpiece of Baldoni's defense. The timing of this revelation couldn't be worse for Lively, coming on the heels of her highly publicized but critically panned film It Ends With Us, which Baldoni directed. Many industry observers speculate that the timing of her complaints against Baldoni suspiciously aligned with the film's promotional period, potentially attempting to draw attention away from mixed reviews and toward personal drama instead. What's truly fascinating is how this evidence surfaced, not through high-priced legal teams, but through internet sleuths and fans digging through archives of interviews and behind-the-scenes footage. The clip had been hiding in plain sight for years, included in promotional materials for A Simple Favor, but only gained new significance in light of Lively's accusations against Baldoni. This marks the third or fourth instance where damaging evidence against Lively's claims has been uncovered by ordinary people online, proving once again that in the digital age, the truth eventually comes to light.
It's also weird, and especially weird, given all the things that she's out there saying. He said I smelled good and called me sexy. I'm sorry, you look really bad. This looks really bad. Why did you do all this?
Entertainment industry veterans point out that this type of forensic fan investigation represents a new reality for celebrities. The internet never forgets, and past behavior can be unearthed with remarkable speed and efficiency when public interest is sufficiently high. A bombshell revelation has emerged about Lively's original complaint to the California Civil Rights Department. While initially portrayed as a serious legal filing, the truth is far more calculated and potentially deceptive than anyone realized. The complaint wasn't even filed by Lively herself, but by her lawyer, Ezra Hudson. And here's the crucial legal sleight of hand. Rather than definitively stating the allegations were true, the complaint merely said, Lively believed them to be true. This isn't just semantics, it's a calculated legal strategy to avoid perjury charges should the claims prove false. And those charges? They carry penalties of up to 5 years in federal prison. This careful wording creates what legal experts call plausible deniability. If the allegations are later proven false, Lively can claim she was simply mistaken in her belief, rather than deliberately lying. It's a technique frequently used when the person making accusations isn't entirely confident in their claims or wants to insulate themselves from potential legal consequences. Even more damning was Lively's explicit refusal to allow the CRD to investigate her claims. She actively chose to prevent the department from verifying any of her allegations, a move that raises serious questions about her confidence in the complaint's validity. Why would someone filing a legitimate complaint specifically request that no investigation take place? The answer seems increasingly obvious to those following the case closely. Perhaps most revealing of all, rather than following standard procedure and sending the complaint to Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios, Lively's team delivered it directly to the New York Times. The goal wasn't justice, it was trial by media. When a complaint is submitted to the accused parties, they have an opportunity to respond and address the allegations directly. By bypassing this step and going straight to the press, Lively ensured her version of events would be the only one initially reported, giving her a significant advantage in the court of public opinion. This strategy of using media outlets rather than proper legal channels suggests a fundamental weakness in the case itself. If the evidence and allegations were strong, why avoid the established legal process? Industry insiders suggest this approach indicates a case built more on reputation damage than factual wrongdoing. Unfortunately for Lively, that strategy has spectacularly backfired as more evidence emerges contradicting her claims and questioning her motives. The court of public opinion, once seemingly in her favor, has begun to shift dramatically as these troubling details about her legal approach come to light. But the legal nightmare was just beginning.
There is a legal doctrine that is known as unclean hands. And when it's used in court, the argument prevents one party, so the person that is suing, from seeking relief if they have engaged in unethical conduct that's related to the subject of the dispute.
A devastating legal principle called the unclean hands doctrine may prove to be the final nail in the coffin for Blake Lively's case. This established legal concept prevents a plaintiff from seeking relief when they themselves have engaged in similar misconduct related to the same issue. In simple terms, you can't complain about behavior you've engaged in yourself. Legal scholars trace this principle back centuries in common law, where it evolved from the ethical maxim that one who comes into equity must come with clean hands. It's the legal embodiment of the phrase, "Those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones," and it exists precisely to prevent hypocritical litigation. For Lively's case, the application is brutally straightforward. She cannot credibly claim to be a victim of alleged inappropriate behavior when there's documented evidence of her engaging in and bragging about similar or worse conduct. Her civil rights complaint focuses on relatively minor verbal interactions, while her own documented behavior includes non-scripted physical touching of a sexual nature. This creates an almost insurmountable barrier to her case succeeding. Under the unclean hands doctrine, a judge would likely view her lawsuit with extreme skepticism, as she appears to be holding others to a standard she herself has flagrantly disregarded. Courts have consistently dismissed cases where plaintiffs have engaged in substantially similar behavior to what they're complaining about. Adding another layer to this already explosive legal battle are the 17 non-negotiable conditions Lively reportedly demanded before returning to set with Baldoni. The most eyebrow-raising stipulation? There was to be no spontaneous improvising of any scenes involving intimate, sexual, or physical touching. The staggering hypocrisy of this demand has left industry observers speechless, given Lively's documented history of non-scripted physical contact. She's attempting to impose restrictions on Baldoni that she herself has blatantly violated throughout her own career, a contradiction that further decimates her credibility. The list doesn't stop there. Other reported demands included requirements for a female intimacy coordinator to be present at all times, restrictions on how Baldoni could communicate with Lively, and specific guidelines about physical proximity during filming. These types of demands aren't inherently unreasonable. Many productions now implement similar protocols. What makes them suspicious in this context is the selective application and timing. According to industry sources familiar with standard practice, such extensive restrictions would be highly unusual between co-stars without a documented history of serious misconduct. The comprehensive nature of these demands, described as unprecedented by one veteran producer, has led many to question whether they were ever intended to be workable. What's particularly disturbing is how these demands expose the power imbalance at play. As the film's star and executive producer with substantial creative control, Lively had the leverage to make such demands, while other cast and crew members would never be afforded similar consideration. This demonstrates how star power can be wielded as a weapon in Hollywood disputes, often at the expense of productions and other professionals involved. The full list of demands has not been made public, but sources indicate they would have fundamentally altered the production process and created an untenable working environment. The fact that these demands came after Lively had already worked with Baldoni for a significant portion of filming raises additional questions about timing and motivation. The controversy has expanded to include Lively's husband Ryan Reynolds, whose actions have come under intense scrutiny during this unfolding saga. According to inside sources, Reynolds may have played a significant behind-the-scenes role in escalating the conflict between Lively and Baldoni. Recently released photos show Reynolds standing alone at a Wrexham soccer game, with observers noting how no one appears eager to be photographed with him. A stark contrast to his usually crowd-drawing celebrity status. This apparent social isolation suggests his reputation may be suffering serious collateral damage as the controversy surrounding his wife intensifies. Taylor Swift's involvement adds another layer of complexity to this celebrity feud. Sources indicate Swift played a surprisingly active role in the production, even participating in the audition process for actress Isabella Ferrer. This unusual level of involvement by someone not officially connected to the production has raised eyebrows throughout Hollywood, with many questioning whether Swift was being used as additional leverage by Lively to pressure studio executives. Industry sources suggest Reynolds may have been instrumental in pressuring Sony and other stakeholders during production, leveraging the couple's combined star power to influence decisions in Lively's favor, a concerning abuse of power that goes far beyond normal creative differences. This type of behind-the-scenes manipulation exemplifies the often invisible power dynamics that can shape Hollywood productions, where star influence can override normal production protocols and creative hierarchies. The emergence of this damning video evidence has completely transformed the trajectory of the legal battle. What experts initially predicted would end like most Hollywood disputes, with a quiet settlement behind closed doors, has evolved into what's now expected to be a full-blown courtroom showdown with potentially career-ending consequences. Baldoni's team appears increasingly confident with each passing day, bolstered by the mounting evidence contradicting Lively's claims. Sources close to his legal team indicate they're preparing for trial rather than settlement discussions, a dramatic shift in strategy that suggests they believe the evidence strongly favors their client. This transition from defensive damage control to aggressive legal strategy represents a significant turning point in the case. This shift from potential settlement to likely trial represents a dramatic escalation, with both reputations and potentially millions of dollars now hanging in the balance. Legal experts estimate the potential damages could reach into 8 figures when considering both direct financial impact and reputational harm. For Baldoni, whose career was on an upward trajectory following the success of 5 Feet Apart and It Ends With Us, the stakes couldn't be higher. The legal ramifications extend far beyond just this case. If Lively were found to have made false accusations under oath, she could theoretically face serious consequences, including the previously mentioned 5-year prison sentence for perjury. While such severe outcomes are rare in celebrity cases, the mere possibility has added an unprecedented level of tension to this unfolding drama. The question remains, will Blake Lively's improvised moment with Henry Golding be the mistake that costs her everything? Will the legal system finally address the double standards that have plagued Hollywood for generations? And how will this high-profile case change the rules of engagement for future productions? Only time will tell, but one thing's certain, Hollywood will never be the same after this case concludes. The era of selective accountability and inconsistent standards may finally be coming to an end, replaced by a more equitable system where actions are judged by the same criteria regardless of who performs them.